Okay, are we functioning? I will functioning? No, I didn't say that. Anyway, uh, why is why is this speed so high? I literally didn't change anything. Anyway, this thing is working. Yeah, I can mute this. I can leave this like that, and it should supposedly be working. We have a 360 quality. We are so comfy. Anyway, uh, what else? There should be something else. Uh, so so. Yeah, I guess I should be actively checking here, and yeah, I haven't found really another any other way in which um, streaming like this could be performed. Uh, I think it's like CPU intensive somehow. This um, captioning program, so it ends up becoming a necessity to keep an eye on the percentage of the PC that is being used. Last time, or probably not exactly last time, it had been so long since I last streamed, so don't trust me on last time particularly. But the last time I used this, that I remember, it did overheat the whole PC. So this time it's going to be about checking this stuff, about trying to see if it makes the PC overheat or not. Also, I shouldn't be multitasking. I I think it's like an interesting proposition at the very least to not be doing 70 different things. Only focus on one thing. But there we go. I closed everything else that I shouldn't have had open since I wasn't going to use any of that. Um, okay, what else am I missing? I think I don't know. We're already having encoding overload. Why? Why? If the problem isn't the PC itself, the captions are fine. The CPU is only 30%. What's the issue now? Anyway, uh, it was just like 5 seconds. It can be it it can be ignored. Also, um, wonderful discovery. The microphone volume is incredibly low in many applications because I don't think it was a conscious action. Somehow it lowered itself. Encoding or loading once again, but this time without me doing anything. I guess deserved. I I was mostly trying to check if it works. I should probably close the the browser. That's the best solution to this whole problem. Let me let me go with this display in this case. What's what's exactly the issue though? Like I don't know. Combined, the whole browser is using like how much? 2 gigabytes? Something like that? It isn't really resource intensive. It shouldn't be because of the browser. Nothing should change because of the browser. No idea. Uh, no fucking idea. Anyway, the point was, what was the point? Good question, man. I don't know. We forgot Yeah, the idea was something along the lines of, I think, oh yeah, I lost it. Uh, I lost the focus. It's incredibly over, man. It's incredibly over. Anyway, uh, I don't know. There are like, yeah, okay. I finally remember. It was out the mic, out the constant. Now it has become like a constant issue that the mic is in encoding overload. And that the mic is in the reds, not in the middle yellows, high, no, low reds. It's like peaking high as fuck. Also, I think it's like if I low into the mic, it doesn't make it big. What makes it big, man? Anyway, no idea. And also, it keeps showing encoding overload. Let me try to close the fucking browser. Maybe that changes something. Maybe. Perhaps. Okay, there is no more browser. Will that make it work? Or I swear to God, the problem are the subtitles, the captions, the auto-generated captions. They shouldn't be as complicated to have, but they are somehow. So everything malfunctions with them. Uh, the interesting thing, I didn't hear myself. I should have tried to listen to the stream for like 1 second. I kind of forgot about that. Anyway, the discussion was, and now I finally remember, on this microphone, somehow the volume changes itself when I speak like incredibly close to the mic. I I already had another microphone that had the exact same problem. When I make too loud noises, that somehow makes the mic change its configuration. It's like this one decrease its volume over time. Also, going overload, fucking shit. Uh, anyway, so I have no idea so far as to why that happens, but yeah, um, when I fixed finally the volume being so low, here in OES, a lot of stuff changed. It shouldn't have been like that. It should have remained the same. But uh, what's something along the lines of those who don't have what they what we could truly consider quality don't get the right also to complain about their non-existent quality in this case. So yeah, it makes sense that it malfunctions sadly. Uh, it's an issue, but it's a completely foreseeable and fixable issue at the very least. So anyway, uh, that's all for what I have to say in regards to the volume. It's like a constant issue also because you need to find a swift spot, one in which you don't feel as annoyed by knowing that you will be constantly making the mic peak. So, at the very least, by giving that explanation, you can, what is it? Part, fucking shit, it picked. You can part with the responsibility of saying, "Oh wow, I I should have mentioned this before." Here we have it. Here is the mention of yeah, this the big majority of microphones that you can get in this land are completely horrible. So they have very similar issues. Anyway, since that's not something that I can change in any meaningful way, um, moving on to something completely different. Since it had been so long since the last stream, what the fuck is going on? Um, I don't know. We're not really like that's like the funny thing of this place. This was never meant to be a channel of drama or anything like that, so it doesn't matter what happened in the streaming space in the last week. Wow. It's completely meaningless to the discussions that we have here, but fucking shit that a lot of stuff has happened since the last time that I was here without the bar, I guess, but without paying any attention whatsoever to that. Um, at the very least, we can be here, I guess. That's sufficient enough. That's satisfying enough. Also, I, I, I have the tags. Did I activate the tags? I don't. Yeah, I activated the tags. Thank you. I had that doubt after like so long. I remember it's so funny that you can shitpost with the tags so much. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Probably somebody at some point will disagree with that, but it seems to be incredibly meaningless in so many ways. Which kind of tags you use if you don't have, okay, if you don't have found very niche tags that are related to something inherently useful for you in terms of, uh, so to speak, I guess. Publicity, it isn't publicity the word, it's more like targeting, that's the word. If you haven't found any kind of proper targeting with your tags that will prove to be efficient, based on the results that you can get. If that doesn't happen, sadly, one of the realities is that most of the things that you write there are meaningless, and it doesn't matter. I guess probably as somebody who doesn't have access to the Twitch code or anything like that, there is probably an encouragement for people to put the 10 tags to use all the slots at the very least, so that the whole system doesn't seem to be as useless as it truly is. But there isn't really anything important there. You just have that to say, oh wow, yeah, I can put words and I can live in the illusion of effect and importance that those things might have. No, it doesn't happen, but anyway, don't don't worry. Most people won't even try to think about it. It's more like, if it were to be a problem, which I don't know, I don't need to deal with the responsibility of it truly being a problem because I'm not actively participating in the negative side of that. So I can move completely above the issue. I don't need to focus on that at all. So yeah, that's the funny thing of the tags. But I think at this point they are quite, besides the shit posting value, which is incredibly huge, it's like a wonderful thing, I guess. I now I finally realize something interesting. If they are so useful for shit posting, why not make them also a redeem? That thing that is, I think somebody, no, no, not somebody, Omo has it. That's the funny thing of, oh yeah, yeah. Give 1,000 points for change in tags. It doesn't matter truly. It's just another silly toy of anybody who's I don't know. Is wait. I wanna see that. I wanna search up a word. Is that an insult? Let me. Okay, it isn't. It isn't directly an insult. I do know about it because of the context in which it does refer to an insult mostly, but I wasn't wrong when I wanted to use it in a different context, in a different conception of the word. It is a spastic. It doesn't need to be as spastic to have anything going on with that. Also, good morning, Caspian. I hope you are doing well, man. Um, but yeah, I was trying to say, besides the spastic value of the tags, I don't think it matters at all. It's or okay. Once again, oh wow, it's not that it doesn't matter. There are very rare occasions in which it matters. And besides that, it's a more useful when being considered as a group thing, kind of function, so to speak. I guess it's something that has its value and such, but at the same time, it isn't the most important thing in any way. So, why not at the very least, besides being me in the position of the guy who realizes the streams, why not also give the possibility of having fun with tags and whatnot to other people? I guess certainly one of the only issues inside of that is always the quote unquote lack of trust that exists between any person who streams and the the possibility of getting actively harmed by the recommendations that other people, as in those who participate on the stream without being the streamer themselves, can give. But at the same time, it doesn't really constitute too much of a high possibility here. Sadly, I guess, not sadly, but sadly, um, tags are incredibly censored. It's so funny to see how much censorship there is in those things. There are like some very wild decensored things because once again the tags themselves are actively being censored, but there are some perm- permitted terms out of nowhere that are wild, incredibly wild, but everything else is fine, I guess. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't truly matter at this point. So yeah, I I love this. This how much? This last 20 minutes to say uh, next TM brackets TM next stream. I will try to have the proper things set up. The what's the word? The chains are remove chains swap. That's the word. Swap other for a different one. And thank you very much. So anyway, that's everything in the streamer world. I guess I don't know. I no no no. Yeah, I do have something. I do have something very funny. I think with enough time, I wasn't as much of an avid viewer in terms of the lowest spheres. It sounds incredibly fucking condescending. Uh, an avid viewer of the indie scene, that's more appropriate, of the indie scene of people who does between in any way besides the main type and such, that is, yeah, I Scorpus and whatnot before. I thought it was a more accepted thing that people did it as a sort of funny thing, but it seems to be, at the very least, once again to me, that there isn't that many people who did anything like what ended up doing. Uh, of oh yeah, you know, you if you can, why not use a fun related model, and why not be a completely silly character on screen, even if everything else doesn't have anything to deal with that. The possibility of being silly with what you show, what you use as your representation, so to speak, is always there. No, I guess I don't know. Probably now that I have a little bit more time, probably it's a sort of so recurrent thing inside of the comedy of the bigger people, as a kind of unconscious realization that indeed people seem to take it like overly seriously, man. It's so funny to see that. It's so it's I mean, yeah, it's so weird. What do you want me to say? It's weird to see people taking it so incredibly seriously when they consider the idea of, you know what, I will become a VTuber. I accept that it can be something interesting, but it doesn't need to have 1,000 different layers of, oh wow, yeah, your character must be of these characteristics, and it must have these particular ways of being, or else you are not being loyal to the medium in which you are being active. No, man. It's literally the newest form of being silly, if you wanna be honest. There are too many people who will in no way ever get raised, so to speak, back to who they are. You cannot make it so serious. It isn't as not. I mean, yeah, that it shouldn't come as a surprising thing. Sadly, it isn't as meaningful as people try to make it look like. Sadly, so far, Bitcoin hasn't proven to become a new, not industry. It is an industry. It has some very profitable creations, but meaningful in the sense of something that, yeah, that's the complicated part of the discussion. It isn't meaningful to people who never watched any VTuber, because it's aimed towards an audience that is very contemporaneous, so to speak. We don't have, I don't know, 70 years old people trying out between, or even less, people of that age watching Vtubers, the whole creation of the Vtuber space and whatnot is at the most populated by 50 and 40 years old who understand still a lot more what is the internet traditions and whatnot. It's it's useful in the sense that it relies on a community, so to speak, of people who always have, so to speak, no sort of representation before in terms of, I guess, I don't know, it's complicated because I can't express that with the proper terminologies without referring to older terms so far. If we were to try and speak about VTubing, I think it needs to be studied some more. It has a lot of potential, but so far we are so green, man. And the only, okay, generic blanket statement that everybody makes when they talk about the big things and whatnot, the only noticeable things is that the most marketable and profitable sides of this quote unquote industry exist within the target audience that is invented by the acceptance of how the individual who watches VTubers lives, so to speak, without being as condescending as normally. It is still condescending because it implies a lot of shit about the people, and it shouldn't be that way. But also is, I don't think about it that way personally. It does possess an issue that is the the manner in which this whole at that stage it isn't even a hobby. That whole workplace, I guess, I don't know, the is created and it's sustained. It's through the conservation and the. Is it? I mean, yeah. If they are not actively fighting back, I would say, in this case, yes, not just conservation, acceptance, and also uh, promoting. It isn't that participle, the one that I'm trying to use. Uh, Mortal, something like that, of a tradition in which, once again, the person who decides to consume that type of content sustains, quote unquote, unhealthy relations or really more acceptable denomination, unhealthy ways of consumption of the content which is produced, so to speak. Since what can be so widely observed is the phenomena in which the people who seem to be placed so many times in that position are affected in different ways by the same thing, that is similar expressions of symptoms of an issue which are widespread enough to not just be categorized as a problem situated only in the most avid VTuber consumer, so to speak. It's something that the general, not general, not as a whole general, but as in, once again, going back onto this sort of idea of there is a side which can be called an industry and which can be called a profitable market. That side is plagued with these type of things. That is the mark of reference that we are using for this, I guess. I don't know. And out of that, the point was possesses a character which makes it highly complicated. That was the point. Highly complicated to be something else than what it is right now. I I did mean what I said before. It isn't. It's not that it isn't a market. Everything can be a market if you just make profit out of it. That's funny. I guess I don't know. Uh, as somebody who's studying psychology, yeah, psychology is another market. Psychiatry is another market. All of that stuff is a market, but very much in like in the comparison as on how something like psychology is nowadays not a profitable market because the way in which they used to approach their targets is no way near an efficient manner, and different tactics that they utilize to, at the very least, sustain those who have already been integrated onto the system which allows for the production of money. All of those things do exist, but all of those things are not useful anymore. It has the very same sensation, the whole side of Vtuber. I think about it that way. And the word that I was also trying to say is industry. It isn't an industry. There is no between industry. If there are like only two places, three places that can quote unquote produce people, it isn't an industry. It's a monopoly. It's like I don't know saying sodas market or something like that. It isn't a market, man. We can sit here and all believe the lie that oh yeah, you can become a big soda and sell your product around the world. Caveats of that whole idea. It only happens once you get forced to be vile. Not that you get even the choice. Once you get forced to be vile by PepsiCo or Coca Cola, so yeah, it doesn't matter. It isn't a market neither, it's another monopoly. But, anyways, the point was in that there isn't really an industry and there isn't really a true market. True. I think I don't know. Probably I'm making so much shit up in this whole. How much I have been speaking about this thing for like 10 minutes already. I feel like I have made like 20 different terms just to try and convince anyone who's hearing that what I'm saying is right. I on one hand, I feel like this concept of induced psychosis, something along those lines, in which the person simply tries to ensure that the other party, the other participants of the discussion, fall in a state of disillusion by creating an image which might not be true to reality, but which is plausible enough in their consciousness so that it can be then represented later on or re represent yeah re-represented in different manners in ways in which it allows for the rearrangement of the idea. It's something along those lines, but at the very same time it doesn't feel that much of a correct thing to it's like incredibly I don't know at this point it should be understood that I don't use it as just a blanket term in so many ways, but it does feel very schizophrenic. That's the only proper definition that I can come up with. But yeah, continuing, it isn't between nowadays isn't that true. Not that well, I'll explain it. Everything is a market. Everything which results profitable is a market. Bitcoin isn't due to how it works. It isn't that true. Established, not. I wouldn't say institution. It cannot be an institution. It literally has no way of being an institution if we have so many other things which could fill that place in society nowadays. Something like Bitcoin in no way deserves to become one of them before anything else. But it isn't a true market. A true, yeah, that's I guess that's the problem. Something that can be constituted as a true market because it consists on a model which requires so many conditions and so many things that forces the people to feel in many ways completely in this case completely dried. I wanna search for that term. I remember I should continue reading. I am fucking tired. I don't wanna actively read that much more, but I should read both. I didn't finish. At the very least, I started Maxwell. Why did I search Maxwell? It's Orwell. Here, okay, there it is. Um, I found the term. It's Huxleyan dystopy. Then that's what it feels like. It it requires too many conditions of a Huxleyan society. Can it be called? I guess. The current idea of Bitcoin as an enterprise, I guess, and it in no way should be like that. It has so many other possibilities of being different embodiments of the same principle, the capacity of of giving people the possibility of trying out something like this shouldn't be as embedded in the idea of yeah, you have all the satisfaction that you want from all the things that come from this land and it's staying first on the side simply of the most consumer oriented conception that it has. You will have 1,000 different events to watch and 1,000 different things to participate in, and a million communities and a million different um, I don't know things to contribute on, and so many places in which you can place your your hard earned money to quote unquote assist in something. I mean, I don't know. I know I am in some ways. At this point, I think it wouldn't be wrong to say incredibly depressive with how I see things. But man, I don't like people saying, "Oh yeah, we did a great job in raising money for our stuff." Or did we? $100,000 is much. It changes that much. In many places, it doesn't, man. Not even $1 million changes things. Yeah, it's a complete failure to be so complacent with saying, "Oh yeah, we 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 get through doing to experience the joy of creating this persona that is the the foundation for something useful, because once or twice a year this very same persona is used as a method to minimally try to raise money and minimally try to assist in this noble cause, which is true. That statement itself is true, okay? The issue is in the whole sum of things, $5,000 don't truly assist any non-profit organization. If that's the salary of one person, that doesn't change anything, man. It's the gesture is what counts. Yes, completely agree with that. But at the same time, it's one of the main things that gets thrown around is, "Oh yeah, doing is such a nice and noble thing because we raise money." How much, man? I mean, if we were to measure that, we have the possibility. Sadly, we don't have truly, I guess, scientific people in that sense. We don't have people who wants to gather data. We are needing more studies on this stuff. We're talking about the usefulness of this thing. What about measuring throughout the years how much money has been truly actively being raised by stuff like this? But and not just in this case. I can agree with the possible critique of, but this doesn't apply to just the between. It happens in every single aspect. It's so funny to see it, to see any kind of content creators saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to raise money and we're going to put all of our resources, of our group resources into this thing that is called assisting those who have less." What? Man, we are not changing the world like that. It's like we are sitting here placing not even 0.1% of what we have in our pockets, saying, "Oh well, yeah, out of that, nothing will be so useful because everyone else is so poor compared to us," or something like that. It's condescending, not in the nature of the act, because it's based on something noble. The idea of assisting someone else is fine, but the reality, the moment in which you contrast the impact of your actions in the world with what you are saying that they will be or they will have, it shows. It instantly shows. And out of this, I don't know, it's a mind blowing idea to see stuff like, "Oh yeah, you know what? And we will have like a million different things going on. We will have all of these goals. We wanna see how much we can do better than the last one in this sort of competition that only those who are at the highest echelons of streaming can do. But it's all for nothing. If the money goes either to a big company which doesn't care about the people, or to an individual who won't in any way care about the final usage of that. I mean, I guess it's a wider critique than what I can properly say here, but it's the general idea of, oh yeah, the accumulation of capital and whatnot. So funny to see so many people completely oriented towards that stuff in so many ways. It's a complete lack of not just empathy or interest. It has other things also going on that don't happen, that don't exist, that are not created, and that are not in any manner allowed to happen. It's this thing of trying to give a proper example. We have so many fundraisings, and that's what I tried to say before. They are so little. What are we doing with that? What are we saying? Oh wow, yeah, we contributed what we have. We gave so much of what we have to these causes. Truly, do you think that, man? Do you think it matters? I don't think so. I don't see it as a reality. I don't believe that many of the resources that are being given to that are in any way impactful, because they are, to begin with, not sizable enough. And that's what I said before. We need more information. We have so many people throughout the whole year. 1 year. You choose any year that you want. You will find at least 1,000 different events of people raising funds for this or that cause. Perfect. That's fine. That's something good. At the very least, people are trying to help. But at the end of the day, if you are to collect every single instance of those things that happened throughout the year and measure how much money was raised in total, how much are we truly giving? How much is this whole industry of streaming being contributing, so to speak? It's one of the main points. That's what I tried to say before. Not just in this case of B2ing, of streaming itself. You say, yeah, I do it for a noble cause. Mm, So often we have people who ensures that we raise money for that. I don't know, man. Besides something like Games Done Quick, which gathers people completely uninterested with this whole project as anything else than what it is, than the possibility of doing this thing for truly free. Besides that, we the rest of the places, how much are we doing? What's an objective number? What's the total sum of contribution that this so self-gratifying place has? So many people say, "Oh yeah, it's such a wonderful land. We are all part of something that gives back to the community, that ensures that these places are made better, that the world gets a little bit better after X years, because we do not even often things to ensure that we can assist in these problems. But at the end of the day, how much is it? Probably 5 million. Let's be completely generous. 5 million? Is that it? Is that the whole reach of this whole industry? Isn't this. We are in Twitch. We don't have. Or I mean, right now, in the context of this being live stream, this is Twitch. We have how many? I think it was something like 180,000 people con- concurrently streaming, something like that, every single day. We have so many people and we can't afford more than 5 million. And it's not just the idea of, oh wow, the streamers should be the ones in charge of that. Obviously, I mean, that's personally a critique of everything. I love how there is no incentive for you to do any kind of fundraising. Besides the obviously morally acceptable view of gaining a reputation as somebody who does something nice, at the end of the day, it also is immoral to do it because you want to gain validation because of it. But besides that motivation of getting a better public image, which rules who you are in such a hobby as being a content creator, there is no other thing for you to do it. You don't. I love something about this whole idea of trying to have so many things centered around the world of contributing, being helpers to anything. You don't see it. We lack in so many areas ways to demonstrate that actions have an impact. It's it should be obvious enough. At this point, it should be an incredibly obvious thing. The human needs evidence of what happens. You can't just say, oh yeah, your $5 are incredibly meaningful. Okay, my $5 are meaningful for whom? Where? How? Why? Can I see it? Can you prove to me that it happens? Okay, I will give you $5. This whole idea of for the children in Africa, are you willing to give 5 cents out of your order to round the numbers perfect? It matters. Can you show me how it matters? Can you show me if it has any value? Can you, for the love of God, do something to make me feel like the decisions that I make have any weight? Don't you see that I am willing to help, but I need some proof of the usefulness of that? I need something. How much? 5 millions. And how much of that is ever demonstrated later on? How many times people raise funds for stuff to never get any kind of confirmation? It's it's I I I I am completely willing to live on the other end of the illusion of of action that is to to say that just with $5,000 you accomplished a lot. If all that I get to see is something incredibly vapid, like I don't know, though other birthday and raise funding stuff. Just to see a fucking otter at the end of the day have a fucking hat. But at the very least, it's something, man. It's something compared to hundreds upon hundreds that I can never find to be useful. It's the constant issue that every single person has in so many places of nowadays society. It's just in this case being focalized by me because we are in a green media, in a completely new place, in a new land. Yet we decide to carry the issues of the past like it cannot get solved. We are, at the end of the day, at the very least, right now, it's an entertainment business. Can't you entertain me with the demonstration of my activity? It's. That's why it feels so useless. All of this speech about money that exists right now. And it's a similar problem in streaming. And I personally feel I don't really have a fucking voice. I don't matter in this discussion. It isn't my discussion to begin with. It isn't my place of belonging to be criticizing it like that, so to speak. But it does feel disingenuous to say, yeah, Vtuber is a useful enterprise. For whom, man? Can you prove it to me? How much? Okay, we have $5 million around the whole streaming industry. How much of that is made or is given by people, particularly from the Vtuber sphere? 1 million? Wow! 1 million is really that much to you? You are talking about so many labs, so many different causes, so much stuff. And you're going to tell me that 1 million is enough? There are so many people who even consume this media, so to speak, and you're going to tell me that it is enough compared to how much everyone could contribute. But I don't know. I guess, yeah, conformism is better in some ways. At the very least, you can have the illusion of saying, yeah, we have something. We have people who tries to help, even if it isn't the most helpful thing. We have something, and that's enough of a satisfaction to ensure that we don't feel regret later on. After all, we could be worse. But I don't know, man. That's that's why, in that sense, it's disappointing, I guess. And I didn't really finish the idea. It's it's something exhausting to talk about. I think I don't know. Probably it's the confrontation of so many things. It it's trying to discuss one idea while at the same time, at the very least, it happens in my case. I guess as the one who's actively thinking about it. How I don't know. Probably not the best wording to use in this case, but how incredibly tormenting it is to try and drag out any of this stuff. It's every single sentence contains at the very least 5 or 6 ideas in some way or another. And all of those ideas create 5 ramifications each that could get taken and could be used to stray away from the idea. So not only to try and stay onto the topic of, oh wow, yeah, there is an issue with how we conceive the usefulness of donations in terms of beneficial causes here in this ambient. But it's also everything else that comes with that. It's the mental images of, wow, ben- beneficial causes, fundraisings, mm, complete quote unquote community oriented events that happen, all of the mental images that are raised with that, all of the stuff that also gets brought tap into the mind the moment in which all of those things are mentioned. It's the whole world that exists bes- behind the mirror speech that is tormenting. And it isn't helpful. You're trying to tell me that it isn't helpful? Something like, I don't know. We have, as a sort of pacifying machine, we have people who lives in the first, second, third, and if you want to be condescending enough, you could even use fourth world and such. And we have the pacifying invention of something like the comparison of the value of money from the people who live in the first world to everywhere else that isn't that place. How wonderful it can be. $1 in something like choose a, a destination at random in Africa. If you wanna have a quote unquote good example, most of it is barren land. People who live compared to somebody who exists in the first world in completely poor conditions with so little things, with so few resources that obviously something like $1 can be quote unquote a lot. So wow, all of that is meaningful. And now the problem is you're going to try and tell me that $1, 1 peso isn't going to be meaningful compared to that? No, I don't know, man. I do feel on one hand that at the very least have the possibility of knowing that we don't all live in the same condition. At the very least, we have the satisfaction of knowing that even if for us it doesn't feel that much useful, there are some particular cases in which your contribution from that side of the planet might as well mean more. But man, what a failure it is still to see that all of those things don't change the world still. It's not because it is obliged to change the world. It's fine to be a human who doesn't decide to pursue anything. At the very least, if it doesn't lead to that, it's an acceptable thing, an acceptable loss, I guess. But to see that the actions that you take, which you try to ensure everyone are useful for the world. Don't make it in any way better. Simply make it as survivable as it was. If at all something like that is completely empty. I I think at this point I have already mentioned that one movie of the guy who saves people from the war by recruiting them, so to speak, onto his factory and whatnot. Things like that I do think are useful enough. Stuff of that sort is in some way better show of what they can proper action do. But it is banal satisfaction, it is degree of conformity or minimal involvement with any cause. It's miserable. That's what it is. It's completely miserable, man. But I don't know. I think that's what I was trying to say before. I think between could very much be an enterprise of that sort, a true market of that sort, a true. I don't wanna say institution. It won't be. There are so many other things that needs to become an institution becomes before something like streaming, even less Vtubing earned the right to become that. But it could be something useful, And so far we still, without trying to sound as condescending, we still only have the old model of predating on the individual and basing everything on the person, nothing else. The indie market doesn't have a saying on this most of the time, and the biggest examples, or not the biggest examples, the biggest leading forces in the indie market can only replicate what the corporate side does, because yeah, I have avoided saying insults. At this point, it will be useful to keep avoiding using insults because discourse is better when it isn't plagued by hatred. But I'm not here. It doesn't matter what I say. It won't change anything right now. This tiny sentence doesn't have any value in the grand scheme of the world. So I can say that it's a fucking shithole most of the time, man. That most of those things are simply created to extract money and nothing else. That the grand model that most use is that same thing. And oh wow, in bad words, I'm sorry, brother. If you consider that to be useful, I cannot agree with you in any way. If the corporate side seems attractive to you because of the money, wow, clap, grand declaration, I guess. Also, Welcome, son. But I don't know, man. It's weird. It's so weird. It's it's such a weird medium to begin with. It's in a very odd place so far. I mean, yeah, it isn't even without considering stuff like how it tries to be something along the lines of entertainment, but at the same time, right now, I mean, in general, we do have a huge issue for the stuff like newborns, infants, and pre-adolescent live entertainment. We don't have a proper platform from that anywhere for any kind of entertainment to begin with. But we have even less in a place like this proper consensus. We have I said it at the beginning of this. I try to not talk out the drama and whatnot, but it shouldn't be considered fucking drama. It should be something that makes you think, man. Kids try to get into the hobby because they want to have what we as quote unquote adults have, and they have the right to properly express their interest. Yet they got completely shunned. They got kicked out incredibly hard out of this place. You think so? That's the proper thing to do? You think that the proper action is to remove people with so much ferocity without giving them a possibility of creating a proper bubble for their entertainment? Oh yeah, but children, uh, it is a speech long as fucking internet itself. Children shouldn't have access to internet, you know? They shouldn't step a foot on internet. What we need to have no regulation whatsoever for them. We will act later on surprised when, just like we did when we were kids, we find out that they were in so many different places that for their ages should have been restricted because we don't take it seriously. We cannot give a simple fuck about understanding that limitations might need to be put in place if you want to properly give them safety, not to act like, oh no, yeah, kids, kids in my out to be doing a space, they are prohibited and nothing else. Are we sure about that, man? Not even give them the possibility of creating something that enables them to be in their own tiny bubble. What I mean, you cannot even talk about consequences. People get even more offended about all of those things. It should be obvious enough. And any kind of thing involving kids ends up revolving around the same handful of topics about the negative things that end up happening to them and how they end up being taken advantage of. You want to repeat the same story here in the between world because you don't feel like you should be bothered by not having anything like a proper land for them. It's like, oh yeah. If you're going to do it at the very least, like, you're sure about that? You're sure that's the right thing to say, man? But yeah, I don't know. It's still like a completely new green place. I think from a more subjective without being so disrespectful of everything else. Uh, I should. I guess it's funny that I can be disrespectful of the idea itself, then assert that I personally don't deserve to be disrespectful to myself somehow, when in reality it should be so much easier and useful to disparage about what I than anything else, but giving myself the privilege of not attacking what I am. Um, we are still in new rounds, completely new rounds. One day, if I were to finally take the initiative, things might change. I guess it's also that the dogs finally woke up amazing. Um, it's a completely new place, man. It shows. It shows in so many ways. It's a field that has intrinsic potential because it's very new. The fact that people don't take advantage of that is not my issue, personally speaking. I cannot make people realize that they have the possibility of doing something amazing. It will keep happening, yes. That the same old 5 or 6 formulas will keep being repeated, but at some point, initiative might be enough to do something different, I guess. But yeah, I didn't even think about it before talking about it, about the issue itself here. I, I remember, what a crazy thing it is to. It was the sudden realization of, oh yeah, the issue was in between about fundraising. No, the issue was in the whole world of streaming. But it happens, I guess. It happens. Also, good morning, Andy. I hope you're well. Good. Guten Morgen. But I don't know. At the very least, we have health. I guess that's the most important stuff. That we have health and we can stay alive, survive for another day, and ensure that maybe tomorrow things change. They haven't so far, but maybe tomorrow things change. But yeah, that was it. Or was it? No, I mean, there is this. Okay, uh, something along the lines of the philosophical method of people like yeah, Aristotle's and Nietzsche is hinting the answer without directly addressing the answer. No. You know why that's wrong? Because people don't think exactly like I do. So we end up with conclusions that are completely wrong. So, no. It has a lot of potential of being useful. Beethoven can be useful, can be something that has any kind of impacting the world in a measurable way. That's what I mean when I say that it's Greenland and that it can still change. Not that it can gain more popularity or that it can gain more people watching it and that's it. And retain the old tradition. Fuck the old tradition, brother. I love everything else that came before me. Thank you for having cemented the way. Thank you for having created this whole world. The opportunity to have people like me talking about this stuff here today wouldn't be possible without anything that happened before. Yes, that's true, but it doesn't mean that it needs to survive. It doesn't mean that it needs to stay in the same shape as before. It doesn't mean that it is something intrinsically inherent to be doing and that needs to remain for the whole existence of Bitcoin as a concept. If if there is something that is wrong, it's the idea that we needed to remain having as many voids and as many different places of emptiness as we do now. Bitcoin is very much, and I said it before, that I did say, as the world of streaming itself, something new that can broaden its horizons and create so many more possibilities for interesting ways, not just of bringing entertainment. It shouldn't be about just entertainment. I completely hate the idea of, oh yeah, just to keep myself busy. No, man, it can be so much more than that, and it deserves to be so much more than that. It's what will we have if not that? The complete loss of the media? Are we going to end up comparing between 20 years from now to something like a TV who has never changed their formula? That's what we want? To live in a medium that has nothing of importance to it? To live in something that feels incredibly obsolete because we are simply following what worked before? It's completely idiotic to do it, and not in an insulting way. It's literally following one idea, one path, and nothing else. That's why I say that it has some kind of usefulness, that it can have some kind of usefulness, and that it deserves to be seen as that, and not just the present model that we live with of, oh yeah, doing is to keep myself busy. No, man, it's fine. Right now, it's fine, but it can be so much more than that, man. It cannot die just as this greenhorn idea, so to speak. But I know, I mean, I thought I had thought enough about what I wanted to say here, and once I opened my mouth, I did, in fact, realize, no, I don't know shit about what I'm talking about here. I There were so many things that I hadn't even thought about before pronouncing them in this place, or different consequences that come with what I say. As in, so many shapes and so many concepts that were not even considered by me before. I, I guess we still have some homework to. Uh, it isn't a properly finished and round argument. It has many things that it lacks, I guess, sadly. But it's fine still. It's something. It's better than nothing. Excuse, it's better than nothing. Um, so yeah. I don't know. Life, haha. I guess I will keep on reading. I will keep on doing stuff, and probably someday. That's the funny thing of this, that I am inconsistent as hell myself. Besides the appearance on any other place that doesn't involve the usage of my PC as the streaming device, I can show up to other stuff. with more consistency. But this one particular land, I have too many excuses to give. So it's just that the reality is they are just excuses. Actually, still more. Thank you. But yeah, one day at some point, I will remember once again that I should go live, and I will do it myself. Uh, until then, I guess I yeah, I don't have that much more to do. I I wanna be honest. I mean, it should be a complete stream topic. Uh, something that has so much profundity. It's I had this whole discussion going already with one of my family members about how because I'm not in because they are not in school. I don't need to keep on learning. I am already somebody who has finished their studies. No, I love you, but no. You live in the post-modernity, a world in which everything is constantly changing and so many things are being done every single day that you might as well wake up in the next 5 years in a completely different reality. So, you deserve to do yourself the favor of at the very least paying a minimal degree of attention to what you have around you, bes- besides the most immediate consumption. So, go read something. Go read something and do yourself the honor of using the mental capacity that you have. I I say that, and also I dropped the word. Sorry. I say that, and I have like a shit ton of stuff that I need to keep reading myself. I I don't know. I think it's time, yeah, to go and read. Please. Thank you very much. I don't have that much more to add, or do I? I mean, I don't know. Life is great. At the very least, I'm alive. That's enough for me. The meme tupo lives, the battle continues, something like that. Um, but personally, I don't have anything to say. I don't know. As I do feel like it's quite meaningless to say, yeah, go read something afterwards, right? But at the same time, nagging feeling, I should do it. But Queens Don't Cry would say that one comic that became famous, so that's it. Goodbye. No more text from me for today. Have a nice life, man. Have a nice fucking life. Do something fulfilling. That's the only point of this. That's literally the only discussion of this thing. Ah, so yeah, fulfillment. As the goal, I don't know. Goodbye.